probably the worst thing I've ever done. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the brand new. Today I'm going to be reviewing the new Philip DeFranco album. Here Comes the Cowboy. And he released this one only a few days ago. And I've given it a few listens. What the? Jesus Christ. Okay. Now I'm too high up. Alright, so Demarco is an indie artist from Canada, and he's well known for his previous works such as Rock and Roll Nightclub 2, my personal favorite, and This Old Dog. He's really one of those modern acts that, actually has talent and has made it into the mainstream. So when I heard that he was recording a new record, I shit my pants. Though, when I heard the singles, I wasn't sure what I was going to expect. I feel like when I heard the singles, it sounded like more in the direction of his last record, This Old Dog, was going. And personally, that sound didn't really bring me towards his music, but if that's what he wants to do, that's fine. There's obviously songs on This Old Dog that I like, and there's some parts of that sound that I can enjoy. But what brought me to Mac's music was really the sound that he had on 2 and Rock and Roll Nightclub and another one. My hopes were even stirred farther away when I heard that Australia, when the album came out there, just a few days before came out in America, I believe that most of them were saying that it wasn't great. So when I went into the album for the first time the other day, I wasn't really sure what to expect. The opening track, which is also the title track, Here Comes the Cowboy, I hear it and it sounds pretty good. It sounds like a Mac DeMarco song, it has the good easygoing guitar riffs, it has his nice, raspy DeMarco voice, until you realize that is in fact just a loop of pretty much the exact same progression over and over. And I know it's not technically a loop, he's playing the piece over and over, but he's playing it for 3 minutes and the exact same thing. Nothing changes. And I get that's how intro tracks works, but at least he could have labeled it an intro, and at least he could have made it maybe, 2 minutes shorter, not 3 whole entire minutes for an entire song length of just the same thing over and over. It could be some sort of effect he's going for, but it's only a few tracks in that you realize that there's a whole theme of repetition throughout the album, and then you're just like, oh, this album is kind of boring as and that's not to say that there's not good tracks on there. To me, an album can be decent if it has at least 4 or 5 tracks that I can find bearable, and, a few tracks that I could consider putting on a playlist of mine I could listen to, almost every day. Though most of those tracks are the singles, like Nobody and All of Our Yesterdays. I don't like On the Square, though. I especially do not like On the Square. Little Dog's March is another one of my favorites, like Little Dog, Preoccupied. A lot of people like Preoccupied. Choo Choo, when I first heard it, I was really excited because it was an upbeat, rather type of, high energy song of this really laid back album. I was getting into it, it has a good funky bass line, it has the cool guitars, Mac he kind of stays back on the electric guitar and goes mainly acoustic for this album. For that song, it's a lot of electric. I'm into it for the first 10 seconds until I realize, just like the opening track, it's another 2.5 minute loop of the same thing over and over. Even the song I really like, Nobody, is kind of just the same riff played over and over. It's almost as if Mac wrote a bunch of choruses and decided, okay, how can I make this 3 minutes long? I'm not saying repetition is an inherently bad thing for artists to use in their songs. One artist I really liked, Daft Punk, they used to use repetition in their songs all the time in their early works because that was their job. It was sort of DJ dancing music. I don't see anybody dancing to Here Comes the Cowboy in a fucking club or some Maybe Choo Choo. That song I can see people dancing to, but even then it can get boring after easily 30 seconds. This whole album in general is just so frustrating. Like, you think there's almost something you get out of it, something tangible in there that you could really listen to, something Mac DeMarco would make, but it's just not there. It's just missing it. That's basically the feeling you get throughout listening to this. Like, you can almost get there, but it's just kind of like, damn. It's like if you're trying to pop a blackhead on your face and then you just like keep on fucking up and like you know there's something in there, but it just won't come out. It's just deep down in there. It's fucking never gonna come out. Never gonna get it. Like imagine if you went to a burger place and they gave you everything except for the patty part. You know, you just have like this soggy piece of bread with vegetables on it. And that's basically how you describe this whole album. Mac uses the same vocal rhythm and melody for every damn song. I want you to take a shot every time you hear Mac go. He's like goes so lazy with his vocals on this song, and he's not a bad singer. He's not a bad singer whatsoever. Mac has made great songs where his vocals have been utilized in a great way. On this album, he decides that he's just not worth the trouble to, you know, open his mouth all the way. Like, only a few songs on this album sound actually finished. I don't know how an album can sound rushed and overworked at the same time. It's just like a really thin, almost malnourished album. I know some people are gonna say that this is his like white album, you know, like he took a different direction and then that like it's super new and it's way ahead of its time. Yeah, sure, I can say this is like the album if almost every song is a Revolution 9. One of the really good things about this that I actually really like is the production. Mac has really stepped up his game when it comes to producing the album. It is produced and mixed very well. But there's one problem with when an artist decides to produce and mix their own stuff is that they have no one to tell them to stop. Band or an artist gets a producer, I don't know, they can write a bunch of songs and like the producer will be able to tell them, okay, maybe let's not do that, or maybe let's change this, or let's add this to it. See, Mac didn't really have that. He's just in his garage and going with his first instinct, and that can be an amazing thing, but that can also lead to something that is not the greatest it can be. Think of it like the Star Wars prequels. On the Star Wars original trilogy, George Lucas had people to tell him to not do something or step back, but on the prequels he had full control and we got that. The least I can give this album is that I like it better than This Old Dog, for sure. There's more tracks on here that I like than the amount of tracks that I like on This Old Dog. So my absolute biggest piece of criticism of this album is that the smiley face on the front cover is not wearing a goddamn cowboy hat. Why is it not wearing a cowboy hat? The album is called Here Comes the Cowboy, man. Come on here. So Mac, I'm gonna do you a big favor and just fix this for you, as you see here. Alright. There we go. The album's already much better now. Alright, send me the Grammy to this address right here. That's why my final rating for this album is a Pro Jared out of 10. Pretty damn disappointing.
Yeah!